Let's get started. So, the topic for tonight is the first 180 days, 5 financial tips for the newly widowed. And our guest speaker is Daphne Winston. Daphne is a certified financial planner professional with over 20 years in the financial services industry, helping people have a better relationship with money. Along her professional journey, Daphne has advised educators, healthcare professionals, small business owners, professional athletes, and nonprofit organizations. She transitioned to financial coaching because she wanted to provide unbiased financial education, free from selling insurance products or managing money. As a widow herself, Daphne is uniquely qualified to guide fellow widowed persons through their new financial journey. Daphne is the proud mom of adult twin daughters who are Ohio State Buckeyes alumni. And in her free time, Daphne enjoys live music, all sports, time on the beach, travel, and a good glass of red wine. Welcome, Daphne.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bobby. And to all of you here with me, I appreciate you allowing me to come in and be with you. My word for today is grateful. I just came back from visiting my daughters for the weekend, and I don't get to see them often. And so it just filled my heart with joy to be able to see them. And so it's I love to see them, but it also makes my heart tug a little bit. So, okay, let me share my screen. I'm going to ask for some mercy and grace, please, with this technology, please, as we started in the wrong space. Here we go. So I hope, Bobby, you can see my screen. And also, here we go. This webinar was created. Let me get this thing started. This webinar was created to help you deal with the 5 tips for being newly widowed, and to help you navigate your financial reality. So I'm going to get started on the right foot and provide some smooth sailing over this next year or so. Now, I've mentioned that, I might mention some things that you've already done, and that's great if that's the case. But if you hear new information or you haven't gotten around to completing certain things, that's okay too. This webinar is for you. All right, so for the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to talk about some tips. I normally like to have people ask their questions in the chat box, but because this is being recorded, if you just have a bunch of, if you do have a specific question, go ahead and ask it in the chat box. Otherwise, there'll be plenty of time afterwards for questions, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. All right, so disclosure statement, here we go. And I have to read this. So here we go, let me pull it up. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be used as investment, tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own investment, tax, legal, and accounting advisors. All right, we're done with all that stuff. Whoops. See, like I said, give me grace, guys, please. All right, so with that, so here's a picture of my family a few months before my husband Larry died. So he and our twin daughters were playing in the pool in the backyard when a blood clot ended his life suddenly. My daughters were 10 at the time. He was 40, and I was 39. It was devastating. All right. He was the major breadwinner, and I was a financial advisor. I was holding my own, but it was devastating. So I handled all of the finances, but after he died, I couldn't do the basics like pay bills or add 2 plus 2. So when I heard other people talk about, having that brain fog or the things that you used to do that were so easy, you can't figure out how to do them anymore. Oh, believe me, I get it. Now I can tell you this, that I am 56 and our daughters are 28 and they're grown and they're living good life. They're healthy, and I have adjusted to my new normal. One thing I can tell you is, yeah, there's a new normal. This is your life. The other thing that it took me a while to understand is that the old Daphne died when Larry died, and that I had to come to terms with who is this new person and what are her dreams and goals. As much as I hated that, that was truth. So I'm grateful that I had competent, caring tax and legal professionals in my life because I was a financial advisor who could walk me through that first year of widowhood. I know most people don't have that. And so that's why I volunteer for Wings for Widows. So who are we? Wings for Widows was founded in 2017 by Chris Bentley. And today it is the only public charity that provides pro bono financial planning to widowed persons. I got to slow down. We understand that the newly widowed needs financial clarity as quickly as we can so we can focus on grieving. And so what Wings for Widows does is we help give you all that financial clarity, help build your confidence along the way, and help you get some much needed peace, all at no cost to you. All right, so when our clients work with us, they're going to learn how to tackle whatever their primary concerns are, how to prevent common mistakes, and how to understand their current financial situation. So typically when clients work with us, not call them clients, but really, like I said, it's all pro bono. It's typically 4 sessions, and each session can last up to 90 minutes or so in length. And these occur over a few weeks or months, however long it takes. We call this an engagement. And in these engagements, it starts out typically with gathering data. The next one is getting organized, then getting prioritized, and then lastly, getting stabilized. So this is the recommended order or framework for working with us. But listen, whenever you work with us, we're going to work together with you to help meet your needs. All right. So for today, I pulled together guidance and tips from what I've learned professionally and what I've learned personally as I walk with clients. So with that, let's jump on in. So here are the 5 tips that we're going to talk about. Let's get started with the first one. Tip 1, decide what's immediate, urgent, or can wait a few months. Make it your mission, guys, to open and sort your mail every day, even if that's the only thing you do that day. And believe me, I get it. It's tough. When you do that, I want you to sort everything into 2 piles, low priority and high priority. Do you have a letter or a bill that you don't understand? That's okay. Put a little Post-it note on it. Set it in the pile still. But then, if you have a professional that you work with or you choose to work with Wings for Widows, we can help you figure out what that means, right? The next thing is use a notebook to summarize every conversation that you have about your spouse. Now, look, I know I heard somebody say you got like 4 different notebooks. I understand. The key is to just have one and you write down everything. The date that you talk to somebody, you summarize what you're talking about. You put their phone number down there, all right? I don't care how many times you put it, you call them. There were times I had to write my mother's phone number. She's had the same phone number since the 1970s. Yeah, but because of that brain fog, I had to write it down sometimes. So I also encourage you to separate your bills into 2 piles. One that is just with your spouse's name on it, just bills that just have your spouse, and then bills that are either just belong to you or joint. All right, and we'll talk a little bit later about what to do with those piles that have just your spouse's name on them. Let's see here. The next thing is I'm going to ask you to, if your spouse was employed, that you reach out to their employer, either their human resources department or their benefits coordinators department, whatever that is, and reach out to them and talk to them about things like, hey, getting any unpaid compensation, any benefits like their 401k, their retirement benefits, or 403p, what's going on with their health benefits, just all, if there was life insurance through the company, find out what is due you. Now, usually you'll receive a letter telling you about one of these benefits and the process to claim it. Now, some benefits like your health insurance continuation, they require action by a set timeline. And most often when you get that letter, it's not going to be from a company that you recognize, which is another reason why it's so important to open and read your mail daily. Please do that. Lastly is gather important documents and put them all together in a binder. Now, I have something like this. It's just a regular old, and I still use it, yes, even 17 years later. But gather everything, all the important documents, and put them in an expandable folder. Things like your marriage certificate, any life insurance policies that you might have, the deed, your spouse's will or trust, all of those things together, all right, will help you when it comes time to apply for benefits or to complete other important forms, right? Next tip is pull your and your spouse's credit reports. Now, this tip is normally overlooked by most people, but it's invaluable. Why? Let me see. Because it's the easiest way to learn what accounts you guys have. A lot of times I hear so often, oh my gosh, I never knew what my spouse had. I didn't know, he had this account or she had these bills. Pull the credit report. Where do you go? Here's where you go. You go to annualcreditreport.com. That is the only federally authorized source for your free credit report. Annualcreditreport.com. Okay. Once you go there, request one copy of each of yours and one copy of your spouse's. And when you're there, look and see what's there. If there's any open or active accounts that are just in your spouse's name, call the creditors and get them to cancel the account, right? Notify them of the passing. They'll probably want a copy of the death certificate to prove that that the account should be closed. Now, if you've already completed this step, that's great. Still pull that credit report. And while you're there, look at it and see, does it say deceased in the status section now, right? You want to be sure that that's actually done. I strongly suggest that you place a credit freeze on your spouse's credit accounts. Why? Because unfortunately, you and your spouse are now targets for fraud and identity theft. Now, I remember I was a victim of this. It was about 9 months after Larry had passed, and it started getting these calls for him. It made me angry and sad. I was like, why are people calling for him? Finally, I got a chance to talk to an actual representative. I had to say, yes, I'm Larry, before they would hang up. And that's when I found out that someone had stolen his identity. It was hard. I easily could explain this wasn't him that opened this account and made those charges, but that was painful for me to have to go through that. So that's why I suggest you put a credit freeze on your spouse's accounts. You can also do one for you if you decide that you're not going to open up credit in your name anytime soon. So one of the questions that I typically get from some of our clients is, hey, do I have to, what do I do with my clients' credit cards? Am I responsible for my spouse's debts? Not my clients, my spouse's debts. And generally, the answer is no. But there are 3 times where it may be yes. The first time is if you own this debt or this bill together. So say you co-signed a loan or you're listed as a joint owner on a credit card account, then you are legally responsible. The second time is if you live in a community property state, and there's a few of you in here. So that would be Arizona, California, Idaho, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin. Now, these states, the laws have it so that any debt that's incurred during the marriage becomes the debt of the surviving spouse. Even if your name wasn't on it, it still becomes yours. And the third reason why you may be responsible for your spouse's debts is if, even if you don't live in a community property state, state law requires that you pay it. Some states require that surviving spouses pay certain medical bills, right? So there's a lot of variables with this, which leads me to my next tip, and that is talk to the professionals. Oh my gosh. As I just mentioned, the answer to a common financial question that widowed persons have depends on where they live and if the debt is considered joint. It's complicated. And so for the first professional I ask you to talk to is an estate planning attorney. Now, just like medical doctors specialize, so do attorneys based on their study of their field of study. And an estate planning attorney can help you settle your spouse's estate, help you get through probate, can also help you maybe retitle things. That attorney can help you understand what bills need to be paid and how they need to be paid, right? So that's a professional, oh my gosh, that if you don't have one yet, if you're still very early, that's the one to get, all right? The next professional to talk to is a financial planner. So did one of you have a financial planner? If you did or don't, a financial planner may help you do things like consolidate your spouse's retirement benefits. Say if your spouse had a 401k or a 403b or had an IRA, can help you consolidate that easily and quickly with your own. Also can help you fill out paperwork for a pension if your spouse was eligible, or help you make changes to your investments, update your beneficiary information. That professional can be really helpful to you. And lastly, I'll just mention this. If your spouse was, say, a business owner or had things like deferred compensation or stock options or anything else that makes taxes complicated, definitely want to speak with a CPA. And as a tip, I'll suggest that if you are working with an accountant and a financial planner, one thing is to schedule a call with both of them together. Why? Because they can work together to help minimize any taxes that may be due. Trust me, I made that mistake once before. So how do you find one? Okay, Daphne. Well, here's how you find them. I've just pulled together a few resources to help you. So the American Bar Association, check out your legal aid. Of course, you can talk with a trusted friend. If you have that, if you've got a financial planner, say already, ask her, hey, do you know of any estate planning attorneys that would be helpful for me? If you're looking for a financial planner, check out letsmakeaplan.org. That's where you can find your certified financial planners. Also, if your spouse or you are employed, check with your company's employee assistance program. A lot of times they offer legal services through their EAP program at free or greatly reduced cost. And then lastly, you can always check out findhelp.org. That's a website that helps people find low-cost legal resources in their area. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute and see what chat questions we have. Okay, international. I don't have anything to help you internationally currently, but I encourage you to reach out to me at Wings for Widows, and we can absolutely help you answer some of those questions. All right, let's move on to the next tip. This one now is after talking to the professionals. So we've prioritized, we have reviewed, we have organized, we've secured our credit reports, we've hired all the professionals. Whew, that's a lot. Now let's look at simplifying our banking. Another common question that we hear often at Wings for Widows is, when should I close my spouse's bank accounts and credit card accounts? And should I remove my spouse's name from the bank accounts? So, any joint accounts where both of your names are listed as owners, you're free to stay open and you can continue to use them. Listen, it's been 17 years and I still have Larry's name on our joint checking account. What I've simply done is I don't put his name on any checks that I've used, right? Eventually, I've opened credit cards in just my name only. But any bank or credit card accounts that are just in your spouse's name should not be used. Now, depending on the state that you're with, you may have to open up what's called an estate checking account, where then you would transfer the cash from your spouse's only bank account and then use that money to pay their final bills. Now, look, please get advice from an attorney in your area about that. The other thing is, another question that I normally get is, well, should I add my child to my checking account? You can, but another option is to add what's called a payable on death feature to your bank accounts. Now, this is a simple form where you can add a beneficiary to your bank accounts. It's free, it's easy to use, and it ensures that your loved ones can immediately access your accounts when you pass. Now, this option allows you to maintain full control of your account as well as privacy by not adding someone else to your account if you choose not to. Lastly, set up auto pay for everything, especially your regular and irregular bills, right? Like if you pay your car insurance only twice a year, be sure and set that up. It is so easy to forget. As we've discussed, widow fog is real. And sometimes I feel like I only have 2 brain cells working still, and they're busy trying to keep me breathing and walking. So if it wasn't for my friend and fellow financial planner I trusted back then to set up auto pay for me, it wouldn't have gotten done. And so that's important to really set that up. Now, the thing to remember is a lot of times when we lose our spouse, we lose income that goes with it. And so we have to be careful about you have enough income to cover your expenses, which leads me to the last tip. Oh boy, creating a spending plan. Now, personally, I don't like the word budget because it feels restrictive. However, I get my head around a plan for my money and how my money's flowing. Do you have more money coming in than leaving every month? A spending plan is what's needed to get your arms around your situation. So let's start out with, what are our sources of income? Are you eligible for Social Security survivor's benefits? Does your spouse have a pension? Do they have life insurance? Can you take a distribution from your Roth IRA? Because why? Any contributions you can always take out tax-free and penalty-free from a Roth IRA. If you're 59 years of age or older, 59 and a half, sorry, and older, and if you have an IRA, you might be able to take money from that without a tax penalty. All right, real estate values are still pretty high right now. Possibly tap into the equity of your home using a home equity line of credit. Now, these are all ideas to help provide income during this transition period. The next thing is, oh gosh, what are our expenses? So we already discussed getting organized and sorting your bills. Review your check account online register to see where money's coming in and how much, and then when the bills are being paid. I know this sounds basic, but sometimes when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to remember these things. Remember, though, that any bills that are just in your spouse's name are only going to be paid from that new estate checking account that you're going to open. All right. Now, we also have to consider that there's probably going to be a loss of income. And so we might need to adjust those auto payments on those bills. If you don't have enough income coming in to pay all of them, please reach out to your creditors. Most of the time, they are really willing to work with you. Please reach out. All right, we are almost there. So here is a short list of some resources that are available to you, everything from Social Security to VA benefits to how to find a financial planner, to the IRS website. All of these are great resources. I encourage you to take out your phone, snap a picture of this slide. Also, we'll have a copy of this. I'll make sure and get to Bobby so that if you want to see this slide, you can do that as well. And here we go. That's it. I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here and to share with you. I'm happy to answer any questions now that you may have. And with that, I'm going to
Awesome.
stop sharing. There we go.
Thanks so much, Daphne. I'm going to stop the recording.